Blessed day to all. This is Mr. Criminology at welcome to our lessons regarding the disciplines and subject matters of criminology. This is for the research of the criminology students, for the review of the aspiring registered criminologists, and for the refreshers of the registered criminologists. Today, I want to discuss to you one of the most important theory in this field, the classical school of thought or the classical school of criminology, because there are concepts and teachings, laws in the field of criminology and in the different subject areas wherein this theory is the basis. And the prominent personality also will be introduced, which is who is Cesare Beccaria, the father of the classical school of criminology. Let's define first the classical school of criminology under Cesare Beccaria. The classical school of criminology. The classical school of criminology grew out of a reaction against the barbaric system of law, punishment, and justice that existed. During his time, it is a big move for a person to have this kind of teaching, this kind of concepts, this kind of theory, school of thought, because he is living in a barbaric society kung saan walang sistema ng batas. Unlike today, we have the criminal justice system, we have laws, we have definite or we have determinate and indeterminate sentences, types of punishment, and we have justice that we are all aspiring today. But during his time, there is no real justice of criminal system of criminal justice. I mean, in Europe during that time. Remember, Europe in the ancient world was the nation na talagang pinagmulan ng maraming civilization, education, at during that time sila yung mga nanakop sa mga bansa. Some crimes were specified and some were not. That's why limited progress talaga. In the previous videos, we watched or we heard yung mga ancient laws na pinagmulan, the evolution of the criminal justice system and the criminal law. It is a historical na nag-evolve according sa mga namuno. And during this time, may mga crimes na na-specified at may mga crimes din na hindi pa na-specified. And the judges, meron silang mga excessive authority. Today, the judges are the one lang na parang arbiter lang sila inside the court of law. Pero during that time, they have the power, the discretionary power, if they will convict a person or not. Wala rin silang legal definition of criminal during that time. Unlike today, it is evidence-based. For a person to be declared criminal, he must have the due process of law, the right to be heard in a court of law, and then he must be declared as guilty beyond reasonable doubt. If there is a sentence, that is the time that you can call a person a criminal. But during that time, there is no legal definition for criminal. That's why the judges have that excessive power and authority to practice or to declare a person as such. That's why during his time, this school of thought is based on the assumption that individuals choose to commit crimes after weighing the consequences of their action. That's why the school of thought, classical, well known in the keyword na free will, because they believe that every individual, nung siya nag-commit ng krimen, pinag-isipan niya, pinagplanuhan niya, tinimbang na niya yung mga possible na consequences ng kanyang magiging action. According to classical criminologists, individuals have free will. That's the keyword there. They choose legal or illegal means to get what they want. Fear of punishment can deter from committing crime, and society can control behavior by making pain or punishment greater than the pleasure of the criminal gains. Others call it the hedonistic calculus. The hedonism later on will be introduced by another personality in this field in the name of Jeremy Bentham. But that hedonism, that pain and pleasure principle is another keyword in the classical school of criminology. So we have the free will. The person has freedom to choose if he will abide in the law or he will break the law. And then he has also the freedom to weigh what is the weight of pleasure and pain. But according to this school of thought, if the society can make the pain greater than the pleasure that a person can have, he will avoid committing crime. But if the pleasure is greater than the pain, the person will choose to commit the crime. Next concept here is, this theory, however, does not give any distinction between an adult and a minor or a mentally handicapped in as far as free will is concerned. Founder of classical school of criminology are Cesare Beccaria and Jeremy Bentham. Unlike in the succeeding theories that we will be discussing, classical doesn't give distinction kung bata o matanda ang isang offender. Whether it be a person, whether it be a adult or a child or a mentally handicapped or a rational person, still once you committed a crime, you must be punished. And this school of thought was founded by Cesare Beccaria and Jeremy Bentham. Let's discuss who is Cesare Beccaria. His full name is Cesare Bonessa Marches de Beccaria. He lived 1738 up to 1794. He is best known for his essay on crimes and punishment, which presented key ideas on the abolition of torture as legitimate means of extracting confession. So, Cesare Beccaria, during his time ay malaking very prominent yung kanyang move in publishing his essay entitled On Crimes and Punishment. At doon sa kanyang trabahong yon, he presented his idea na kinakailangan i-abolish ang torture, that it will not be a legitimate means of extracting confession. Today we know it if we have extracted confession via torture is inadmissible in court because it is a fruit of the poisonous tree. During his time, he is known for being against that way of extracting confession. His book contains almost all modern penal reforms, but its greatest contribution was the foundation it laid for subsequent changes in criminal legislation. So, kung pag-aaralan mo yung kanyang libro, yung kanyang work, yung mga modern penal reforms na meron today ay almost containing na yung kanyang libro. Kaya nga, very known siya kasi kagamit-gamit yung kanyang mga trabaho. Now, that work also ay nagbigay ng change sa criminal legislation, which we will be discussing further in the next videos. His book was influential in the reform of penal code in France, Russia, Prussia, and it influenced the first 10 amendments to the US Constitution. Remember, ito yung mga bansa na leading during those times na may effect up to the US Constitution, and the US influenced the Philippines, kaya may influence din sa atin ito. Kaya nga, you cannot just see Cesare Beccaria and his school of thought classical sa sociology of crime, but we can encounter them also in the criminal jurisprudence. We can encounter this also in the correctional administration, in the institutional and also to non-institutional corrections. That's why knowing this theory can help you a lot in your journey in the field of criminology. Next to take note Cesare Beccaria believed that people want to achieve pleasure and avoid pain. That is hedonism. Naturally, a person doesn't want pain. We all want pleasure. That is the basis of his action. B. Crime provides more pleasure to the criminal. Why a person is resorting to criminality? Because that crime, when committed, is providing more pleasure to the criminal in any other aspect. Letter C, to deter crime, he believed that one must administer pain in an appropriate amount to counterbalance the pleasure obtained from crime. So if a person is obtaining pleasure in committing a crime, therefore we need to do is to provide pain that is appropriate in amount to counterbalance the pleasure that he might obtain in committing the crime. Kung mas makapag-provide tayo ng pain para wag mangibabaw yung pleasure niya, therefore, hindi niya i-commit yung crime. That is what this classical school of criminology believed. Famous in saying, let the punishment fit the crime. So, dito papasok ngayon yung pagiging commensurate. Dapat yung parusa akma doon sa krimen na kanyang gagawin. That is famous line from the classical school of criminology. Now let's see the highlights of Cesare Beccaria's idea regarding crimes and the criminal justice system. So we can see here yung kanyang mga basis, yung kanyang mga highlight na teaching if how useful naging ito hanggang sa panahon natin. Number 1, in forming a human society, men and women sacrifice a portion of their liberty so as to enjoy peace and security. So para sa kanya, syempre pagka society, it is a group of people, interaction of people, interrelation, cooperation ng mga tao. Therefore, men and women, we must sacrifice bahagi ng ating kalayaan para ma-enjoy natin yung kapayapaan at seguridad. Because if we will over-enjoy our freedom, we might violate one another's right. So if we sacrifice some portion ng ating mga kalayaan, may pagpipigil tayo, we can all enjoy peace and security together. Number 2, according to him and them, punishment that go beyond the need of preserving the public safety are in their nature unjust. So, pag yung parusa daw ay lumampas, sumobra, para i-preserve mo yung public safety, ay this is unjust. Hindi makatarungan, hindi ito tama, it violates yung normal dapat namang. Kaya nga sabi niya, the punishment must fit yung criminality na commit, yung crime na na-commit. So, he is known for being against torture. Kaya dapat to preserve commensurate yung magiging punishment sa crime na makocommit. Number 3, criminal laws must clear and certain. Judges must make uniform judgments in similar crimes. During this time kasi, ang mga judges, as I mentioned a while back, they have excessive authority. They don't have the clear basis. That's why criminal law for him must be clear and certain. And the judge must make uniform judgment. Hindi yung according sa kanyang judgment this time mabigat, tapos sa kabila same crime naman, mababang parusa. Dapat the same crime must be given the same judgment and same punishment. Kaya nga dito mag-evolve na, kaya nga sa panahon natin nakalahad-lahat yan. It is according to the law. Number 4, the law must specify the degree of evidence that will justify the detention of an accused offender prior to his trial. So, kagandahan din dito, dapat yung batas daw naka-specify how much degree of evidence will suffice for us to be justified yung action mo in detaining a person na inakusahan bago pa kanyang trial. So, the weightier the evidence, there is a certain degree dapat na ma-reach natin that is specified by law para i-hold mo yung tao bago mo siya i-try. Pero kung mababa ito, hindi sapat, hindi aabot doon, you must free the person. Huwag mo siyang i-detain. Number 5, accusations must be public. false accusation should be severely punished. Kasi may tendency na kung hindi public ang accusation na mangyayari, privately ito magaganap, it can be leading to abuse, lalo na kung may powerful na nag-accuse. But false accusation should be given severe punishment para maging prevention naman ito sa mga magtatangka to make false witnesses against another person. So that is good provision as well. Number 6, to torture accused offenders to obtain a confession is admissible. So, kaya nga kagandahan, these are the ideas of Beccaria regarding crimes and criminal justice system na until today na-adapt natin. We cannot make confessions admissible in court, especially if it came out of torture, if it was obtained via torture. Number 7, the promptitude of punishment is one of the most effective curbs on crime. 'Di ba? Kapag ka daw mas mabilisan mong pinarusahan, pagka walang delay in the justice, in the rendering of punishment, isang malaking effect daw ito para bumaba ang criminality o yung crime rate natin. The more dinidelay mo, the more pinapalampas, the more matagal parusahan, the more tataas yung crime. It encourage others to commit criminality also. But the promptitude of the punishment ay isang effective way para bumaba ang rate ng criminality. Number 8, the aim of the punishment can only be to prevent the criminal from committing new crimes against his countrymen and to keep others from doing likewise. Punishment, therefore, and the method to inflicting them should be chosen in due proportion to the crime, so as to make the most lasting impression on the mind of men. Kung makita mo itong passage na ito, it speaks about the crime prevention. Not just crime prevention, it is also for deterrence. So, para ma-prevent mo yung pag-commit ng crime, ng bagong krimen din, dapat parusahan mo ang nagkasala, and then yung due proportion ng pag-i-inflict mo ng punishment sa kanya, magbibigay ng lasting impression sa iba para wag nilang pamarisan. Remember, we have two actually, the word deterrence is also a product of classical school of thought. We have two types of deterrence. We have the specific deterrence. If we will punish a person from committing a crime, it will mark in his mind that he will not do the same crime or else he will be punished. While the general deterrence will punish the person who committed the crime himself so that he will be a lesson for others not to commit the same act. And number 9, capital punishment is inefficacious in its place, should be substituted life imprisonment. So, he is not just against the torture, but he is also against the capital punishment, the death penalty. So, according to him, it will be more effective if we will give a life imprisonment as a penalty or punishment rather than the death or capital punishment. And number 10, it is better to prevent crime than to punish them. That is the chief purpose of all good legislation. So, for him, which is true, mas maganda na i-prevent mo. It is prevention which is better than cure. Because if maybe we can cure or we can punish criminality, but it is very costly. The agencies will spend resources, time, effort. But if we will prevent crime, it will be more effective. We will save resources, manpower, effort, and many things if we will prevent crime. And of course, we can prevent damages that we need to repair or to restore. That's why it is more, the good legislature can be seen, can be proved. The yardstick is the prevention of crime or the low crime rate. So far, these are the key lessons of the classical school of criminology. Thank you very much for supporting our videos. Watch out for more. We want to provide free lessons for criminology students. Criminology reviews for the upcoming board examination, and of course for the registered criminologists, for them to have the refresher courses or lessons like this. God bless you all.